This is Finextra at Sibos, and I'm on the Finextra stand talking to Kirk Wylie of OpenGamma. Kirk, OpenGamma has been established since 2009. Does it feel a little bit strange to be competing in a startup challenge as part of the Innotribe program at Sibos?
Well, so the Innotribe challenge has two categories. There's the startup and the innovator category. And I think we're right to be in the innovator category. So we have been going for 3 years now, but 2012 was really the first year that we started commercializing the technology. It took us 2.5 years to get to 1.0. It's a very, very large system, and that required a lot more upfront than I think some other business models that could get started in commercialization a little bit earlier in the product development roadmap.
One of the criticisms from the open source community of financial services users of open source code is that they often don't contribute enough back in terms of financial support or code to the open source code projects that they rely on. What's your experience of this?
Well, there's definitely a lot of evidence that financial services users are contributing back. It's just often a bit shielded. So there have been several cases where the large banks have actually paid outside consulting firms to engage in open source development that they couldn't have their own developers working on for internal compliance reasons. Now, in our case, we are starting to see the first contributions starting to come back from users. It's actually been unexpectedly early that we've started to see those contributions. But often they are sponsoring work that we're doing that benefits the open source community as a whole. So having us as a central point of development and a strong vendor, I think, gives the using firms the ability to get the improvements that they want without them having to run through the compliance challenges of trying to release code that their in-house developers produce.
Since being established in 2009, how has OpenGamma's business model evolved?
Right now, we really only deal with the most sophisticated market participants who value that support, consulting, very proactive support. In fact, we have the ability to remote log into some of our customers' production environments to provide a proactive level of support that no vendor, closed or open, has really been able to do. As the company goes forward, though, and as we work on some additional monetization strategies, we will have some offerings that are not based purely on open source support, but I think that's a recognition that not every firm that can use and benefit from the OpenGamma platform has an internal development team that values and wants the ability to work with us in a collaborative code basis.
You've made it to the final of the Innotribe program and have had to go through several regional rounds to get here. What's the most exciting thing that you've seen from other competitors?
Well, I think there's been a lot of really interesting startups across the space. You know, I think the Currency Cloud is a very interesting FX broker, but I think one of the most interesting ones to me personally that didn't make it out of the regional challenge and didn't get picked up as a wildcard is Sign Analytics, SEIN. Effectively, they're doing an open competitor to Intex, and based on publicly available data sources, open source technologies. I find it really interesting because it's a type of thing that a lot of our customers talk to us about, is the availability of ABS, RMBS type of data without necessarily going through the traditional players. Now, as we start going into those types of spaces, we'll obviously be working with firms like Intex, but I think it's always interesting to have another open competitor and one in a very esoteric capital market centric part of the business.